The galaxy is a huge assembly of stars. The Milky Way contains something like 200 to 400 billion stars.
If it's the same star, and if it's in the Andromeda Nebula, it puts the Andromeda Nebula far outside of the Milky Way.
Someone took the single biggest mystery in space science, the question that has haunted scientists for over 70 years, and handed it to Grok, the AI built by Elon Musk's company, XAI, asking it to reason all the way to the bottom.
To the Milky Way being just one of countless other galaxies. And overnight, the Andromeda Nebula became the Andromeda Galaxy.
What Grok said back was not a tidy textbook answer. It was something that made the people reading it go quiet. Because the AI did not just take a swing at the mystery, it noticed a door the rest of us have stood in front of for decades, certain it was locked. And what waits on the other side is genuinely terrifying. The lunch question. To understand what Grok was really staring at, you have to go back to a lunch table. It is the summer of 1950 in Los Alamos, New Mexico, and a handful of the brightest physicists alive are sitting together, having the kind of loose, wandering conversation that happens when people that intelligent let their minds drift. One of them is Enrico Fermi, the Italian-American physicist who had already reshaped the world by helping unlock nuclear energy.
He found a star in the galaxy with the world's largest telescope. He couldn't do this with other telescopes at the time. This is the Carnegie Observatory 100-inch Mount Wilson telescope.
The talk drifts to flying saucers in the papers, and then to the simple question of whether anyone else is out there at all. And then Fermi, almost as a throwaway, asks something none of those geniuses can answer. He glances around the table and asks where everybody is. 4 words, that is all it is. But folded inside those 4 words is a problem so deep it has survived every serious attempt to put it to rest for more than 70 years. And here is the thing. The harder you stare at Fermi's little question, the worse it gets. Because the universe was about to turn those 4 casual words into something that feels a lot like a threat. Where is everybody? Look up tonight, and here is what is actually above your head. Hundreds of billions of galaxies, each one packed with hundreds of billions of stars. And around those stars, planets, trillions upon trillions of worlds. Some scorching, some frozen solid, and some sitting in that one narrow band scientists obsess over. Not too hot, not too cold, where water can stay liquid and where, under the right conditions, something extraordinary becomes possible. Life. Now run the numbers the way Fermi did at that table.
The entire decade of the 1920s was ripe with all manner of discoveries, not only in astronomy, but in physics.
The universe is about 13.8 billion years old. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, is older than our own sun by billions of years, and it holds somewhere between 100 billion and 400 billion stars. So, start cutting. Say only a sliver of those stars have planets. Only a sliver of those planets land in the habitable zone. Only a sliver of those ever grow life at all. Only a sliver of that life ever gets intelligent. Only a sliver of that intelligence ever builds anything like technology. Cut and cut and cut and slash the odds as hard as you honestly can. You are still left with thousands, maybe millions, of technological civilizations. Not in the whole universe. In our galaxy alone. And here is the part that genuinely messes with your head. Some of those civilizations would not just exist, they would be old. Older than us, not by years, not by centuries, but by millions of years. Give a species that kind of head start, and even crawling between the stars at a tiny fraction of light speed, it would have had enough time to spread across the entire Milky Way. And not once, many times over, which means the galaxy should not just have a few neighbors scattered around in it. It should be colonized, crowded, loud. You should not be able to look up at night without tripping over someone else's fingerprints. So, where is everybody? Why has not one probe, one signal, one deliberate hello ever reached us? Why, after 60 years of pointing radio dishes at the sky and straining to hear, have we caught nothing but silence? That is the trap Fermi laid down in 4 words. The math screams they should be everywhere. The sky insists they are nowhere. And the gap between those two things is one of the most haunting holes in all of science. So, When that exact question was finally handed to Grok, fed the data, the decades of dead-end searches, the whole haunted history of it, the AI did not hand back one clean answer. It handed back a ladder, a series of explanations, and it started climbing down into the dark, one rung at a time. The first rung is almost comforting. By the time it reaches the bottom, comfort is the last thing left. A freak accident. The first rung says something simple. Maybe life is just rare, not diamond rare, not 1 in a million. Rare. Rare the way one exact outcome out of a trillion random rolls of the dice is rare. Two scientists laid this out in detail around the turn of the century, paleontologist Peter Ward and astronomer Donald Brownlee, and they called it the rare earth hypothesis. Their argument quietly rips away the one thing we never question, that Earth is an ordinary planet, because in their telling, Earth is not ordinary at all. Earth is a freak accident, stacked on top of a freak accident, stacked on top of another, all the way down.
How to stabilize the image of a star, even though it's going through these pockets of different temperature air. That image stabilization has transformed modern astrophysics.
Look at everything that had to line up. A moon of almost exactly the right size to steady our planet's tilt. Without it, the climate would lurch into extremes that cook us or freeze us. A Jupiter parked further out like a bodyguard, its gravity hoovering up comets and asteroids that would otherwise be slamming into the surface on a loop. Plate tectonics, quietly recycling the planet's chemistry and keeping the air breathable across billions of years. A calm, middle-aged star, steady enough not to fry us, and Earth sitting at exactly the right distance from it. Liquid water, a magnetic field holding back radiation that would otherwise peel the atmosphere off into space. Pull out any single one of those, and life as we know it might never get started. Now demand all of them on the same world at the same time. Stack them all up as requirements, and the odds of a second Earth fall toward zero. If that is the answer, then the silence is not a mystery at all. It is just the sound an empty universe makes. Except, there is a problem with resting easy on that, and it is getting bigger every single year. We keep finding planets, thousands of confirmed worlds orbiting other stars, with more pouring in from telescopes like Kepler and TESS. When astronomers first started looking, plenty of them quietly expected planets to be rare. Instead, nearly every star they checked turned out to have a family of worlds wrapped around it, and the galaxy started to look less like a desert and more like a garden gone wild. And the data hints that as many as 1 in 4 stars out there may host a roughly Earth-sized planet somewhere in its habitable zone. That is tens of billions of shots on goal in our galaxy alone. With odds like that, insisting it only ever worked here starts to sound less like science and more like arrogance. So, we climb down to the next rung, and this is where it stops being about whether they exist, and starts being about what happens to everyone who does. The Great Filter. Quick thing before we step onto it, because this next rung is the one that genuinely keeps me up at night. This whole channel is really just me chasing questions like this one as far down into the dark as they will go. If that is your kind of thing, hit subscribe. I do this every week, and the threads only get stranger from here. Okay, down we go. It is called the Great Filter, an idea the economist Robin Hanson put forward in the late 1990s. And it is exactly as ominous as it sounds. The logic is brutal in how simple it is. If spreading across the galaxy is the natural endpoint of intelligent life, but we look out and see absolutely no one doing it, then something must be stopping civilizations before they ever get there. Somewhere on the long road from dead chemistry to a galaxy-spanning species, there is a wall, a filter, and almost nothing makes it through alive.
I'm sure there are other civilizations out there in the universe, because there are 2 trillion galaxies. I just can't believe this hasn't happened in other places. The question is, how often does it happen, and how widely spaced are the civilizations?
And there is really only one question that matters here. Is that wall behind us, or is it still in front of us? If it is behind us, then we already cleared the hardest part, and we can breathe out. Maybe the near impossible step was the very first one, life itself, sparking out of lifeless chemistry on a young planet. Maybe it was the leap from simple cells to complex ones, a jump that took almost 2 billion years here on Earth, and maybe a fluke that almost never happens anywhere else. If one of those ancient steps is the filter, then most worlds get stuck as pond scum forever, and we are the lottery winner that somehow climbed past it. We got lucky. The road ahead is wide open. Enjoy the view. And the list of doors we had to walk through is longer than just those two. The jump from single cells to many cells cooperating as one body. The arrival of nervous systems complex enough to wonder about anything at all. The leap from a clever animal to a species that writes, builds tools, and starts reaching for the stars. Every one of those transitions happened exactly once in nearly 4 billion years of life on Earth, and some of them took 1 billion years or more to show up. If even one of those is the wall, then the galaxy could be absolutely littered with life that never made it past slime, or never made it past instinct, or never made it out of the Stone Age, and we would be the rarest thing in it. The ones who somehow walk through every single door without dying in the doorway. But if the wall is in front of us, that is the version that should put a knot in your stomach. It would mean there is some barrier that every civilization slams into shortly after it reaches roughly our level of technology, and that not one of them, anywhere, in billions of years, has ever survived it. Nuclear war, engineered plagues, climate collapse, an artificial intelligence that slips its leash. Some threshold no species has ever crossed and lived. Picture it. Then staring out at that silent sky is not like staring at an empty room. It is like staring at a graveyard, every star a headstone, and slowly realizing that we are still walking, right now, toward whatever it was that killed everyone already buried out there. And here is what makes that reading land so hard in our lifetime, this decade. We are the first generation in human history holding several of those doomsday doors in our own hands at the same time. The bombs are real and still pointed. The labs that could brew a perfect plague are real. The climate is already shifting under our feet, and we are busy building minds that may one day outthink us, with no clear idea, yet how to keep them pointed somewhere safe. If the Great Filter really is a technological threshold, then we are not reading about it in a textbook about the distant past. We are standing on the welcome mat with our hand already on the knob. And here is where Grok said the part out loud that scientists mostly only mutter to each other. Finding life on Mars, or under the frozen ocean of Europa, or anywhere else in our own solar system, would not be cause for celebration. It might be the single most terrifying discovery in human history. Because if even simple, dumb microbial life turns out to be common, then life is not the filter we already passed. The filter is somewhere further up the ladder, somewhere we have not reached yet, which means it is almost certainly still ahead of us, still waiting, with our name on it. So, why has it not taken us yet? Maybe it is coming, or maybe, and this is the next rung, the others are not dead at all. Maybe they are right there, and they have simply decided not to pick up. The silent zoo. What if the advanced civilizations already know we are here, and have simply chosen not to say a word? Not because they are afraid of us, because they are watching us. The way a field biologist watches a wolf pack from the tree line and refuses to step in no matter what happens. The way you would quietly observe an ecosystem you wanted to keep wild and untouched, exactly as it is, so you do not ruin the very thing you came to study. This is the zoo hypothesis, and it is deceptively gentle. Picture a quiet galactic neighborhood, a network of older civilizations that long ago agreed, through some kind of cosmic etiquette we cannot even imagine, to leave young species like us alone until we cross some threshold that finally makes us worth talking to. On the surface, it is almost a relief. The universe is not empty after all. We are just behind glass, a protected exhibit, not ready for the public yet, and then it lands. If that is true, we are being watched right now, in this exact moment, and whoever is watching has studied us up close and decided we are not ready. There is a sharper version of this too, and it is somehow worse. Maybe the door does not open when we become wise enough, or peaceful enough. Maybe it opens the instant we develop some specific capability, the ability to detect them, or to reach them, or to threaten them. In that version, we are not being protected at all. We are being monitored, the way you keep one eye on a sleeping animal that might wake up dangerous. The day we finally cross that line is not the day we get welcomed into the Galactic Club. It is the day the watching stops being passive and starts being something we will not get a vote in. Here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. Maybe the line we have not crossed is not about technology at all. Maybe it is moral. Maybe you. Do not get handed the keys to the galaxy until you stop pointing your cleverest weapons at your own species. And from the outside, we might look exactly like a civilization that has not worked that out yet. The unsettling thing about the glass is not that it is there. It is that we cannot see it, cannot test for it, cannot even tell whether the silence on the other side is patience or a verdict that has already been reached. But there is a colder reading of the quiet, one where nobody is protecting us at all, and the silence is not kindness, it is strategy. The Dark Forest. It is called the Dark Forest, made famous by the science fiction author Liu Cixin, and once you understand it, you cannot unhear it. The universe is not silent because it is empty. It is silent because every civilization that survives long enough eventually learns the same brutal lesson. In a cosmos of limited resources and total uncertainty, where you can never know whether the stranger out in the dark means to trade with you or erase you, announcing that you exist is the single most dangerous thing you can possibly do. Picture every civilization as a hunter, alone, moving through a pitch-black forest. You cannot see the other hunters, but you know deep in your gut that they are out there. You do not know if they are friendly. You cannot risk finding out the hard way, because if you guess wrong even once, there is no second guess. So the only move that keeps you breathing is to stay perfectly silent and to treat any noise you hear as a threat that has to be eliminated before it eliminates you. The civilizations that broadcast, that lit up the spectrum shouting for a friend, are the ones that got an answer they did not survive. And here is the trap that makes it almost impossible to escape. Even if you are gentle, even if you would never dream of harming a soul, you cannot be certain the stranger across the dark is gentle too, and they cannot be certain about you. Neither of you can afford to wait and find out, because the distances are so vast that by the time any message crawls across them, the civilization that sent it could have grown 1,000 times stronger, or wiped itself out entirely. So you are forced to assume the worst and to act on it first. Suspicion stacks on suspicion, fear answers fear, until the only sane move left in the whole galaxy is to stay hidden and to quietly erase anything that reveals itself before it can do the same to you. So, the silence is not absence. It is a whole galaxy holding its breath. And here is the detail that should tighten the back of your neck. We have been broadcasting for over 100 years. We are the new species crashing through the underbrush, calling out cheerfully into the trees. Never told there were rules, never even told there was a game. And the truly chilling thing about the Dark Forest is that not one civilization in it has to be evil for it to work. Everyone just has to be careful. Scale ordinary caution up to the size of whole species separated by distances that nothing, no ship, no signal, no warning can cross in time, and careful starts to look identical to murderous. A galaxy packed with perfectly reasonable, perfectly terrified civilizations would look exactly like the dead quiet sky we actually see. But Grok noticed something underneath all of this. Every rung so far, the freak accident, the filter, the zoo, the forest, quietly leans on the same hidden assumption. And it might be the single most dangerous assumption our species has ever made. The wrong question. The assumption is this, that if aliens existed and wanted to reach us, we would recognize the attempt when it arrived, and that might be catastrophically, fatally wrong. Stop and think about what communicating even is. Here on Earth, we throw information across distance using electromagnetic waves, radio, light, laser pulses. And we just assume that anyone advanced would do the exact same thing, because those are the tools we happen to have, and they feel obviously correct to us. But a civilization a few million years past us might have moved so far beyond our physics that whatever they use to talk is something we have no instrument to detect, no mathematics to decode, and no concept that would even let us recognize it as a message instead of background noise. And here's the thing. There is a growing argument that our entire search has been quietly, blindly self-centered. We assume an alien. Mind would resemble our mind. But intelligence right here on Earth already shows up in shapes we barely recognize as intelligence. The scattered, 8-armed problem-solving of an octopus, where half the thinking happens out in the arms. The collective decision-making of an ant colony, where no single ant has any idea what the colony as a whole is doing. the slow chemical conversations of fungal networks, mycorrhizal threads wired silently under every forest floor, trading signals between trees. None of those think anything like you do, and every single one of them is on your own planet. Now take that and scale it up by millions of years of evolution and technology. An advanced civilization might not be little gray men in ships at all. It might exist as a distributed energy network humming across an entire star system, as a form of awareness woven into the structure of space itself, as a collective mind running on physics we have not even discovered yet. We could pass straight through its presence and register absolutely nothing, the way a single bacterium drifts through the modern human world, with no idea the internet exists all around it. And it is not only that they might be too strange to recognize, they might be too far from us in time to ever meet. A civilization could rise, blaze across its corner of the galaxy, and burn out completely inside a window of just a few thousand years. A window that may have opened and slammed shut a million years before we ever looked up, or one that will not open until long after the last human is gone. The galaxy has had billions of years to grow civilizations and lose them. We have had roughly 1 century of being able to listen at all. The odds that our paper-thin sliver of listening time happens to line up with someone else's paper-thin sliver of shouting time in the same patch of sky are almost cruelly small. We might not be alone in space. We might just be alone in the moment. Grok put it flat, with no softening. From the very first day, our search for alien intelligence has secretly been a search for a slightly bigger, slightly smarter version of ourselves. We listen on radio because we invented radio. We look for giant structures because we build giant structures. We hunt for someone who wants to be found because we, in our loneliness, are desperate to find them. And staring at our own reflection that hard for that long, we may have gone completely blind to everything in the universe that does not bother to wave back with a familiar face, which leaves one ugly possibility standing in the middle of the room. What if we have not been failing to find them at all? What if we have barely even started looking? A teaspoon of ocean. Because here is the thing we really do not want to admit. We have been seriously listening for about 60 years. That is the whole search. It began in 1960, when the astronomer Frank Drake aimed an 85-foot antenna at 2 nearby stars for a couple of weeks and listened. Everything since has covered a thin sliver of the sky, across a narrow band of frequencies, for a blink of cosmic time, 60 years, against a universe nearly 14 billion years old. So, picture this. You want to know whether there are fish in the ocean. You walk down to one beach, dip a single teaspoon into the water, lift it up, see no fish swimming in the spoon, and announce to the world that the ocean is dead. You would be laughed out of the room, and you would deserve it. Your sample is meaningless. That is almost exactly where we stand with the search for life out there. We have pulled up 1 teaspoon from an ocean we cannot see the far shore of, found it empty, and some people have treated that empty spoon as proof we are alone. It is not proof. It is not even close. It is a rounding error, and it cuts both ways because could they even see us? Our loudest signature in deep space is not the message we carefully designed, not the plaques bolted to the Voyager probes, not the famous blast we beamed from Arecibo. It is our leakage, the everyday radio and radar spillover we never aimed at anyone. And even that has only swept out a bubble roughly 200 light years across, inside a galaxy 100,000 light years wide. A dot. A speck. Anyone beyond that has not ignored our call. They simply have not heard it yet. Our entire shout into the universe has barely made it off the front porch. But the search is finally, genuinely waking up. New. Systems are training artificial intelligence to comb through millions of star systems at once, hunting for the unmistakable fingerprint of technology, whether or not anyone ever meant to send it. And when the third interstellar object ever recorded came drifting through our solar system, astronomers swung everything they had toward it and checked it carefully for any sign it was something more than a rock, and found nothing but a rock. The point is not that they came up empty. The point is that we finally know how to look, and we are pointing the instruments at the right questions, which completely changes what the silence means. And that, exactly that, is where Grok landed. It is the part that genuinely unsettled the people reading the answer as it came together. What Grok concluded. So pull it all together, the way Grok did at the end, the freak accident, the great filter behind us or dead ahead, the zoo and its invisible glass, the dark forest and its silent hunters, the reflection we keep mistaking for a search, the teaspoon dipped into an endless sea. What the AI built out of all of it was not a tidy answer, because nobody honest can give you one yet. It was something that manages to be humbling and electrifying at the very same time. We are almost certainly not alone. The cold math, set against the staggering scale of what we can already see, makes the idea that we are the only minds in all of existence look less like humility and more like a failure of nerve. The universe is too big, too old, too stuffed with second chances. But, and this is the part that flips the whole thing over, we are also unbearably dangerously early. 60 years of listening is nothing. Our best instruments are crude little tools held up against a problem the size of forever. And our deepest assumption, that whatever is out there would look and sound and think like us, may be the exact thing that has kept us deaf to it this whole time. And think hard about what being early actually means. It means we may be among the very first. Not one of the civilizations the dark forest already swallowed, not a faded signal nobody caught in time, but a genuine pioneer. A species that woke up near the dawn of the galaxy's long story and started asking the question before almost anyone else could. That should feel like a privilege. Mostly it feels like a warning, because if we really are early, then there is no one ahead of us who can send word back about the filter. No older, wiser civilization to point and say, that door, the one on the left, do not open it. We are walking point. We are the scouts going in first. And scouts are the ones who find the danger before anyone else does, usually by stepping straight into it. Just look at the nearest star to our own sun, Proxima Centauri, sitting about 4.2 light-years away. A signal needs more than 4 years just to arrive there, and 4 more to carry a reply back. For anyone a few dozen light-years out, a single back and forth would burn through human generations. For anyone hundreds or thousands of light-years away, one exchange of hellos would take longer than recorded history has even existed. So, the galaxy could be absolutely full of voices, full of conversations happening right now, and the whole thing could simply be running too slow for any of us to ever notice it is happening at all. And maybe that is the most disturbing thing Grok did with the question. It did not tell us the aliens are dead. The evidence does not say that. It did not tell us they are hiding, or coming, or kind, or cruel. It did something much harder than any of that. It looked at the biggest question our species has ever asked, and instead of filling the silence with a comforting story, it held up a mirror, not a prophecy, a measurement of us and of exactly how far we still have to go before we even understand what we are looking for. That is the thing that stopped people cold. We built a mind to help us crack the question, and the most honest thing it could tell us was how blind we still are. So, sit with this for 1 second before you go. Somewhere out there, right now, in some form, we may not even have the senses to recognize. Something may already be looking back at us. It may have already noticed our little bubble of noise crawling outward into the dark. It may be deciding, in this exact moment, whether or not to answer. Because the most terrifying thing Grok left sitting on the table was never that the universe is empty. It is that it almost certainly is not. And that we have been standing out in the open this whole time, shouting into a dark forest, without once stopping to ask what might be listening. If that rewired the way the night sky looks to you, even a little, do me a favor and hit subscribe, and stay down here in the dark with me, because I go hunting for questions like this one every single week. And then tell me down in the comments, out of everything Grok laid out, the graveyard of the filter, the watchers behind the glass, the hunters in the forest, or the simple quiet chance that we are just too early and too deaf to hear it, which one do you actually believe is true, and why? Because your answer to that says more about you than you might think.